pretty much already close to guaranteed for day 2.
Yep.
And some of these players were not. And so what ended up happening is with this match, they took an intentional draw.
Yep.
So these players being the highest players in the seeding, by taking an intentional draw, they almost, I think, guarantee the ability to make day 2 and make the cut to top 16.
Yep.
So now they are playing this game to show us what the best competitors at the event look like versus each other. Mm-hmm. This is actually kind of what I would call maybe a sneak peek at what the top 16 tomorrow is going to look like. So you can see here, we have Cal on Malcolm Tana. We have Eric on Rogrek Thrasios, Charles on Najeela, and Milton on Kenrith. So Charles started with Najeela playing a volcanic island and saying go. Milton playing a command tower and passing the turn. And then we have Cal with a very explosive turn here with land into Mana Vault, into Talisman, into Soul Ring, into Malcolm. So pretty cool to see here. And for those of you that don't know, that Malcolm is a sick one-piece altar. Pretty sick to see.
For those of you who don't watch One Piece and watch better anime, you have no idea what that is, and that's okay.
Yeah, and then these players, being such high-level players like they are using these epic storm tokens to keep track of everything, including the storm count for every spell being cast. So these guys are on top of it.
I asked them to keep track of the storm count, and I meant like when it actually mattered, but they're just doing it anyway.
They're doing it anyways. Why not?
Because these
right?
tokens are so freaking convenient.
Yep, so we have Tropical Island from Eric into a Mox Opal into Rogrek Thrasios. So we can actually delve into these players like a lot here. So Eric is playing Rogrek Thrasios Polymorph, the same deck that we saw in the last pod. The only difference being that Eric is the primer author for the list that exists on the database. So Eric is playing really, really well with this list. Eric also happens to be a judge and is one of the judges for Monarch. So he plays a big role in Monarch events and things like that. And you can see here that we used the Tropical Island, cast the Rogrek, Mox Opal, and then tapped that Tropical Island for a Mystic Remora on turn 1. Eric is going to be passing the turn here to Charles, who is on Najeela. Now, normally, in Najeela decks, I would expect to see here, I don't know, turn 2 Najeela, some type of development. We played a land and said go, so I'd be interested to see how this is going to play out. And for those of you that don't know, this is going to be with the beard. That is our friend Charles. To the right, in the green shirt, that's Milton. Right in front of the camera here, that's Cal from Playing with Power. And then you can't see him because Cal's got a big old head, but behind him is Eric on Rogrek Thrasios.
And Eric is not playing a deck that is triple sleeved. Eric is playing a deck in all little folder over things, aren't they?
No.
Am I dumb?
No. His commanders are in...
His commanders are in the things.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have allowed anybody to come and play with top loaders today.
Yeah. They really look extra thick, though, don't they?
They are triple sleeve.
They are triple sleeved.
Oh my god.
Some players get really into it.
That's incredible.
So then Charles, obviously being able to develop here a turn 1 Najeela with a exiling an Elvish Spirit Guide for an extra mana, getting that Najeela online extra early.
Oh, yeah.
Milton resolving a fetch here. Milton got some pretty interesting proxies here. Don't know what lands we're getting because I don't know.
There's a command tower and it looks like it's a bayou.
A Bayou. There we go.
Yep.
Boom. No, this is not the mono white guy. And so we see an early Dalthy Voidwalker from Milton here. Pretty cool stacks piece to be putting into play. Really helps you kind of gain some card advantage on your opponents because every spell that they cast now becomes a spell that you can cast. Moving to Cal's turn here. Tons of mana. Tons of things to do. Let's just throw a Glenhorn on the stack and win the game. Right, folks?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, like we have the mana. Let's do it.
Vexing Shusher.
A Vexing Shusher. Thank you for knowing what that is.
This card is ridiculous. I haven't seen this card in cEDH in so long. And a Spellskite follow-up. That's incredible.
Oh, the Spellskite's actually huge.
So Vexing Shusher is pay either a red or a green, and target spell can't be countered until end of turn, or gain Shroud until end of turn. Something busted. Something super duper busted. I think it's target spell gains Shroud or something.
Well, we will find out right now.
It's like this nice, like, I want to say Surge Foiling, but this is foiled before Surge Foiling. Oh, it can't be countered.
Yeah.
The target spell can't be countered for either a red or a green activation.
So having a Vexing Shusher and a Spellskite into play basically just means like, hey, when I get that Glinthorn, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, Cal setting up for a turn 3 win here very, very easily. Ifan playing an LED and passing the turn. Setting up for possibly a Polymorph on the subsequent turn after. Charles, drawing their card for turn, has a Najeela. Most likely will be going to combat here, swinging at someone like Ifan, generating a warrior token, and most likely passing their turn to Milton unless we have some exciting turn 1 play. Arctic saying Cal 100% goes for a turn 3 win here. Yeah, with a Shusher and a Spellskite, we just need any any type of spell, basically, to get us our Glenhorn, or we have the Glenhorn in hand.
That
So
creature honestly is so slept on. Like, I know it's red and green, and those are like the worst colors in Magic right now, except for white. But like, come on, like a target spell cannot be countered.
is that Eric the Birdman Efond? Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes, that is.
Very good.
So Charles is currently resolving a fetch right now. So we will see shortly here what they plan to do on their turn. Let's check in on the table here. You can see everybody probably looking at Cal like, this guy is the enemy. Enemy number one.
This guy sucks. Also, Milton's deck said I tap that, which is very cute. I like that. I like magic puns.
Magic puns
it's
are
not really
pretty funny.
but like, you know.
Yeah, and then you can see in the back there, we got some cameos coming on. We got Looter Scooter. We got Josh from Mind Muscle Magic. We
Oh,
got
yeah.
Seth, our favorite judge, Hot Judge Seth. Everybody loves that guy.
Yeah. So hot. Can't get enough of that guy.
All right, so back to the game here. It looks like we resolved our fetch, and are we passing our turn? I don't know. Milton displaying how many cards he has in hand. We know that Milton has 5 cards in hand. Milton playing with some very nice sleeves. I believe those sleeves, if you try to buy them online now, are like $50.
Oh my god, they're very
those
cute.
Dragon
I
Shield
like
art
them.
mats, very nice. Funkalicious Freak saying, tell Cal that he has a cute bun. We will. We will tell Cal
Make it happen.
immediately. Can we send a judge in there to tell Cal that he has a cute bun? Yeah, they're getting on it right now. So, yeah, just a reminder for everybody in chat. Any donation that you make to the stream today is getting donated to Extra Life. Extra Life is here at Silicon Dynasty. They do amazing work helping children, sick kids, and things like that all across the United States. And any money that the stream makes today is getting donated to Extra Life. We had them here tonight at the venue, and people in person were donating to Extra Life, and they just gave away I believe 12 judge promos to somebody who ended up getting winning a raffle from the Extra Life donation. So anything that you do, whether it's a tip, whether it's some ticks or anything like that, all gets donated to them. So the Najeela player putting in a Carpet of Flowers, using that Carpet of Flowers on their second main phase to cast a Sylvan Library. And then look at those sick warrior tokens. Those things are sick.
Those
and
are very cool.
$20 a piece.
And thanks to Callahan's amazing mana base with a volcanic and a steam vents, that carpet is already making 2 big old mana.
Big old manas. Milton playing a Sylvan Safekeeper and then passing the turn. Everybody's setting up for some big turns here.
Getting some shroud going on.
Yeah.
Some spell shroud, some normal shroud.
But Cal here, we get to see if Cal's set up here for the turn 3 win. We have a Vexing Shusher and we have a Spellskite, which means this can be pretty protected.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can interact with here. It looks like we're not getting the Glenhorn, though, because we're moving to combat swinging with the Malcolm.
Oh, yeah. That would be too much if the Glenhorn was already here. I think I might just
that would have
scoop it
been
up.
so sick.
I would just
That
scoop
would've
out
been
of Magic at that point.
That would have been so sick.
I have been turn 2'd by a Glenhorn in this deck more than one time.
far too many times.
More than one time. A non-zero amount of times.
Yeah, 161 registered players for this event. One of the biggest cEDH events that we've done. Super exciting for the community to see something like this. And then the next event that we have, you can't even get tickets for it anymore.
Yeah.
It's sold out in 63 minutes
You can
from
join the
being
wait list.
posted. Yeah, you can join the wait list if you contact Eminence at contact@eminence.events, and you can get a hold of the wait list there and get on if you'd like to receive a ticket.
First time chat, Tiffernan, I think is Tilfernan?
They're
Says
actually soldier tokens
tokens,
in?
which means we do have to disqualify Charles.
No,
That is
for a misrepresentation of
Yeah,
board state. We're
yeah.
going to get a judge on that right
yeah,
away.
we're gonna get him wheeled out of here.
Yes, no, this is a full proxy tourney. There is no playtest cards. You're allowed to proxy any cards in your deck as long as they are legitimate proxies. No pieces of paper in front of cardboard, nothing like that. So if you get them off of Etsy, NPC, or any other proxy sites, you're allowed to use as many of those as possible. Any update on the Midwest event later in the year? No specific updates, just that it's happening in December, happening in the Midwest, and that it's going to be huge. So make sure that you keep an eye on all Eminence news for when that event is going to get posted, because it will be a big one. And the only if you actually, this is a perfect time to plug. If you actually watch the Sadnaz cEDH podcast, I did an episode with both Mike Bonney and Mikey Hallahan, the TOs of Eminence MTG.
You are so shameless.
There is a lot of information in that podcast about what's going on there. And oh my gosh, thank you to Chaotic Sparks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. All of these gifted subs, the money that is being provided by this is immediately getting donated to extra life after the stream. So thank you so much, Cat Express, for donating all those gifted subs.
Thanks, KX Sparks. You're the best. And Philly is already sold out. We definitely need to look at Atlanta, Georgia after that. That is going to be the cookout. That is in March. Is it in March? I feel like
Punt City? Yeah, Punt City is in March. Punt City too. The cookout
September?
is in June,
June.
I believe.
And then September, we're coming back to California.
We're coming back to San Jose for the Windmill Slam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Thonking, saying that it's neat that people bring actual cards if it's a full proxy event. So the cool thing about the cEDH community is that we love proxies and we support proxies, and we're also addicted to bling. So we have completely real decks, completely foiled decks, completely blinged out decks, and it's why people like Efont here has a triple sleeve deck with all real cards, even signed by artists. So yeah, this is it's kind of a big deal in our community. Bling means more than winning the game.
No, it doesn't. Winning the game means the most.
So Efont playing their Thrasios now, and then they're putting a transmute artifact on the stack, sacrificing their LED, going under the Douthie. You can see here they're representing the Douthie pile here, and all these cards have void counters on them. Look at this representation of board state. What a shining example
awesome. What a
of
wonderful.
players.
The last one is the best. They're in the first place bracket for a reason, because of accurate representation of board state. Learn from these guys.
We've seen Transmute Artifact in so many games.
Which is ridiculous.
Transmute Artifact is a spell that's been in cEDH for a while, but it's recently being used as a really important tech piece in a lot of different strategies, including turbo decks, things like polymorph decks. Just all these different strategies are utilizing Transmute Artifact because of how useful it is as a tutor in your deck. It's 2 CMC. It's not that mana intensive. It can fetch things like LED and other things without really costing you any extra mana, and it puts it onto the battlefield. So, the value of certain cards, it kind of comes to show how cool cEDH is as a format, because a card that once fell out of favor for a lot of people, because in 2022, Transmute Artifact barely saw any play besides dedicated strategies. And now we've seen it in every single streamed game that we've done today. There's been a Transmute Artifact put on the stack.
Yeah. It's actually pretty incredible, because those effects I feel like I've seen so often, those Finale Dosations, those Court of Callings, those Eldritch Evolutions, all those slip onto the battlefield type of effects that give your opponents less and less time to interact. I feel like that's getting more and more often, and yet we haven't seen those at all today.
Yeah,
but
hey guys, we're almost close to a hype train right now. If you guys donate some more subs or some gifts, we can get this hype train rolling. But thank you again to Cat Express for donating another 5 tier 1 subs. Congratulations to everybody that got a gifted sub from this. Cat Express really putting it down for the donations.
Yeah, really appreciate that. And this void counter pile is getting even bigger as we move on to whose turn is it?
Can we find out why the polluted delta is tapped? I believe it was we casted a Thrasios this turn, and then we casted a Transmute Artifact. So I believe we had to tap out in order to do that.
But the polluted delta is tapped.
Oh, why the delta is tapped? I'm assuming it's a shortcut. We shortcutted to get the land into play.
Which is totally fine if your table's cool with it.
Yeah,
Not
these tables are.
Time is of the essence.
Oh, and we put a Grim Monolith on the stack as well. So what an interesting play to see that. So we used the Transmute Artifact to sacrifice our LED to turn it into a Mana Crypt, simply because LED does nothing on the battlefield if you aren't sacrificing your hand. Totally. So now getting the Mana Crypt, you now have a mana generating rock that does so much more for you, and you're a polymorph deck, so you need that 0 CMC mana rock in order to go infinite. So now we have a Mana Crypt and a Grim Monolith and a Mox Opal. So basically the game, as soon as we get the polymorph effect online, this game is done.
Yeah, it's so cool to see so many decks so close to popping off. To only see 2 decks so close to popping off, because the amount of, utter artifact generation on this side of the board, on the closest side of the board with Cal and Eric, is actually insane. And it's only turn 3.
So something to really harp on here that I want to display for all the people watching at home. This is, the top players in the tournament right now. And if you notice their play patterns and how they play, this is kind of showing you the difference in meta with these top players that exist here, right? So what I mean by this is like Efont using Transmute Artifact as a way to generate a mana rock into play that helps assemble his infinite mana combo when he needs it, and ahead of time, kind of looking inconspicuous to the rest of the table. But these players are aware of what's going on. So Efont now has the win on board as soon as we get our Hullbreaker Horror or our Tidespout Tyrant into play. So they are just planning ahead for these turns. Same with Callahan, keeping a hand that only has Malcolm, but then we have a Spellskite and a Vexing Shusher, basically meaning when I get that Glenhorn, you have nothing to answer this.
Yeah.
Then you see Charles developing a Najeela, getting Carpet of Flowers. We have card advantage into play, mana advantage into play, and we're starting to swarm the board with warriors to the point where eventually we're just going to draw our Grim Hireling or our Derevi, and this game is going to be done with. And we almost have 5 mana naturally with our lands, which means that we're going to be able to activate Najeela here and take extra combats. And for those people that know what's going on with Najeela, 6 unaffected combats is game over for the table. So as soon as we can get 6 extra combats with Najeela, this table is done for. And we've already gotten 2.
Yeah.
With all the warriors staying on the board.
And not to mention that this is perfect timing for Milton on Kenrith to put a Hermit Druid into play. So now every single player has some kind of win presenting. That this is like the most tense, most high octane, most number 1 pod shit I've ever seen in my life.
It's very exciting to see. Like, and when you have players at this high of a level that are consistently playing like this, and it's funny, this is a for fun game. They already intentionally drew to guarantee that they make top 16. So this is what like we talk about when we say like there's levels to cEDH, and there's competitors here that are kind of head and shoulders above some of the rest.
Yeah,
and this is the type of play that you see: board state representation, this type of card advantage, and the type of mulligans that they kept. Like, these were insane hands.
Yeah, this isn't just a first snap keep 7. You have to. There's a certain amount of laxness that comes from, you know what, this is a fun game. We're just gonna go ahead and snap keeps because this is good enough. There's a determination to win that only these players represent, and you kind of have to have that mentality. Otherwise, you're just going to get lost in the weeds. You're going to get top 40, and you're going to miss that top 16 by a couple breakers. Also, thank you, another lurker, TTTV, for donating or gifting another 5
yeah,
subs
another 5 tier 1
yeah,
subs
so
here.
Appreciated.
Yeah, thank you
That's the
so much
best.
for this. So for everybody that's unaware, any donations, any gifted subs, any bits, any tips, they all go to Extra Life. So if you want to help support a good cause, donate, get in the chat, and all this money at the end of this tournament gets donated to Extra Life here. And here we go. Here's a great view of the table right now. Just watching them politic, watching them have some fun, talking about the game. Kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm not the problem here. I'm not the threat. Like, don't worry about me." And just presenting their board states. Shauna, do you mind taking over for a sec?
Yep. So it's kind of cool. We got a glimpse of Cal's hand, and we're seeing a dramatic reversal on the stack with literally so many rocks in play, even without the Ice-Crown Scepter and even without the impending doom of the Tidespout Tyrant. It is definitely very terrifying to see. But it looks like that pass priority round that we just saw with Milton and Charles giving that okay sign was on the Tidespout Tyrant. So the Tidespout has resolved, and we have a trigger on Tidespout with dramatic reversal on the stack. And all of these lands tapped out. It might be game here. We did see that Cal had a Twin Flame in hand, but unfortunately that does nothing at this moment with a Tidespout on the stack.
Oh, Tidespout on the stack with it?
I think Tidespout's in play. Dramatic reversals on the stack.
Oh my gosh, we're going for it here.
Absolutely
this is
incredible.
it. And I told you, Ifan was setting this up turns earlier here, right? We played the LED knowing that we have the Transmute Artifact, using the Transmute Artifact to turn that LED into a Mana Crypt, playing the Grim Monolith off the Mana Crypt, and now we're like, hey, I have the Tidespout Tyrant in hand, so you got to answer it.
But here's the best thing, is Miscast is actually coming up onto the field, and if Cal wants to, he can activate Vexing Shusher to make Miscast uncounterable.
Target spell can't be countered.
Correct.
That is insane.
It's a wonderful
Callahan,
diplomatic ability, yeah.
Yeah, Callahan is just determining what spells resolve at this point with the rest of the table.
Yep.
And then look at Callahan tapping out here. Playing a Cyclonic Rift. Wow.
Just a single
overloading
target
it
Cyc Rift
too.
for this
Overloading
Tidespout
it.
Tyrant.
No way. That's so sick. That's such a cool
insane.
play. And this overloaded Cyc Rift hits everybody.
And,
so
this is resolving.
Oh
Incredible.
my gosh. So cool to see here. What a well-timed riff by Cal. That's so cool to see.
Absolutely incredible.
Oh, man.
And then we got Eric replaying all these rocks.
Yep, all these free
Doesn't even
rocks.
need dramatic reversal. Just can replay them by themselves.
Still not enough mana, I believe, to get this Tidespout Tyrant back into play, though.
Definitely
so
not.
it's really setting behind Eric in a big way and the rest of the table. So now, if Cal has, the either the Eldritch Evolution or the Glenhorn into play, oh, no way, we have another polymorph effect. And even though Tidespout Tyrant is in hand, these type of decks play 2 of these effects, one of them being Hellbreaker Horror.
We're about to see a Hellbreaker Horror right here. That's
No
very
way.
cool.
Not everybody in chat's like, Cal's on X Games mode. No, Efond is on X Games mode, as we're about to polymorph our Rog, but we're abrupt decaying the Rog with the Reality Scramble on the stack.
Ouch.
This
That's
is brutal.
so
Look at
rough.
the interaction that's packed in this pod right now.
Absolutely insane. And we haven't even seen that much card advantage, I want to say.
No, there's no draw spells in play. And then look at what Cal has in hand. Cal has a Twin Flame and a Fierce Guardianship in hand. So
Yep.
Cal not only with the Vexing Fissure, but also has counter magic to back up whatever he wants to do.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So there's so much interaction. And look at look at Milton. He's like, man, I can't believe I had to cast that right there. He would want to use that to try to get rid of the Spell Skite or maybe get rid of something on Cal's board. And look at Cal has Noxious Revival, Fierce Guardianship, and Twin Flame in hand. Pretty sick to see.
Absolutely bonkers.
No, but what we do know is that none of this really progresses Cal to winning the game any faster, though. We
Nope.
don't have a Glenhorn. We don't have a way to get the Glenhorn. So we're kind of top decking stuff. Otherwise, all we have is interaction to prevent us from losing the game, which is still important because you can't win the game if you lose the game. And as you saw here, we almost lost the game.
Yep.
But the thing is that we know that Efond still has a win in hand. I mean, we have the Tidespot Tyrant. We have the mana to cast it next turn. And if he doesn't win then, or since he didn't win now, it's just a matter of time before he can win then. And look at all these players are getting set back because of that Cyclonic Rift. So now they have to be forced to develop, which means they might not have mana available to stop Efond when he goes for the win. Now, luckily enough, Cal has some interaction, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
And unfortunately, Efond still has quite a way to go. Tidespot Tyrant is 8 whole mana, and with that Grim Monolith tap to get that Reality Scramble out so early, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. And we're out of fast mana. So, unfortunately, that Tidespot Tyrant is really the only way Eric here is looking at a win. With Reality Scramble in the graveyard and not the best recursion package, the amount of win conditions and the ways that you can tutor for them aren't the easiest.
Wow. So, Reality Scramble, funny enough, has a retrace on it.
Yeah.
Right? So now what that means is that all that Efond really has to do is pay 2 mana to get Rograk back and play from the command zone, and then retrace that Reality Scramble, doing it again to polymorph Rogside into Hullbreaker Horror and win the game again. So Efond has a multitude of different ways to try to win the game, and then at that point you just cast Thrasios and draw your deck. Now the thing is we know that Cal has a Fierce Guardianship, which means he will not let that happen, but Efond still has a Tidespump that you have to answer. So Efond's sitting in a really good spot. Playing this hand was super, super well. And such an impressive keep, for sure. Now, let's see if we can get a peek at what Callahan is going to draw here. Pact of Negation. We have every counter spell. And look at Callahan's face. He's like, man, I really do have everything.
Yeah.
But what I need. Because this would be a perfect window to try to win the game here. And look, we're going to swing at the Najeela player here. Creating another treasure token. And just passing the turn. We have nothing else that we can do here.
Yep.
And we're going to hold open that mana because we want the ability to be able to pay for triggers. Efond using a D20. It looks like we're going to have to ban him from the event. Maybe disqualify him for using a spin down instead of a D20 for mana crypt triggers. Everybody knows that you can't use spin down as real dice because some nerds on the internet said you can't.
Exactly.
So here you go. You can see we're casting Rograk, and then we're paying 3 mana. No way do we have another polymorph in it. No, just the Coalition Relic.
Yep.
Okay. That was a little nerve-wracking. I got a little nervous there.
Did you say Relic of Yawgmoth or something like that?
Coalition Relic.
Is this definitely Coalition Relic? It doesn't look like it's
Right?
Coalition Relic.
Yeah, it's Coalition.
I don't think so. This is Relic of something.
My bad.
I'm
Not
being lied
Coalition
to.
Relic.
I'm being lied to.
Relic of Legends. Duh. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows cEDH table, Relic of Legends.
So now we got the Thrasios back into play.
Add 1 mana of any color, tap an untapped legendary creature you control, add 1 mana of any. Okay, it's just a Spring Lake Drum.
No, it's just a good mana rock. And with
Yeah.
this, you can tap it and add 2 mana, 3 mana to your mana pool.
yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. All right, so now Charles is sitting in a pretty good spot here. We've got the Najeela. We've got a bunch of mana. We've got a bunch of cards that we drew. It's as simple right now. Well, see, we have blockers on the board state, so it makes it actually a lot tougher here. Because I was going to say, and Efond playing the Thrasios here is actually a really good move because it means he's not going to take any unnecessary damage from Najeela because Thrasios can block the Najeela, and then, you can eat a warrior. But Charles, I wonder if, I believe, I've met Charles at Magic 30 and we've played a few times before. I believe Charles is running a version of Pongos Najeela list, which means it's mainly the creature-heavy type of, board state, card advantage type of list, not so much the ad nauseum turbo strategy. Yeah, Donkey saying card is very strong in a poly deck. We're going to know, we already drew our cards off of the Sylvan Library, so it's just kind of debating now what spells are we going to put on this deck. You can see there's a lot of table talk going on. People are just like discussing what we have. Callahan, we're doing a great job of showing us what cards he has in hand. We know all 4 cards in Callahan's hand. Twin Flame, Noxious Revival, Fierce Guardianship, and Pact of Negation.
And all the mana in the world to cast them and pay for them. Unfortunately, until we see some kind of advantage piece, which we have yet to see from Cal's board, there's not really much we're doing here besides placing the board.
No way. So Ifan chose not to block the Najeela with the Thrasios.
Wow.
So we just took 4 damage here. And then you can see that Charles tapping all his mana to take an extra combat here with the Najeela to generate some more warriors.
Incredible.
I wonder if it was because... See, I don't know why we wouldn't block the Thrasios there to prevent the Najeela from accruing more warriors. I guess.
Seems like that might have been something that we talked about before.
What's the preference of windows for Rog Thrasios today? Have they been demonstrating the Barbering Loop?
I'm not sure what the Barbering Loop is.
Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, every Rog Thrasios we've seen has been polymorphed so far today.
Preface of Windows. Yeah, you have to explain that a little bit further. I guess like Ifan just doesn't want to lose his Thrasios here, or maybe isn't confident enough that he's going to be able to generate infinite mana to get the Thrasios back into play. So we don't want to block the Najeela here, so we're going to take this damage and go all the way down to 14. Which, if we don't start blocking soon, Eric's just dead on board to the rest of the table. Absolutely. And we know Callahan has enough spells in hand that Eric's not winning the game.
Yeah.
So Eric might be taking taking this damage kind of at risk of losing here. And you see Milton here tapping enough to play their Kenrith.
And unfortunately, Callahan's now in this kind of weird spot where Eric dying is not beneficial.
Oh, and we drew a Simian Spirit Guide.
We drew a fucking Simian Spirit Guide.
We're just not
a useless
drawing the
garbage card. So that is rough to see. So here I would definitely be...
Here I would just cast the Simian Spirit. Oh Zain just...
I would just say, if I was Cal, I would be kind of leveraging my Vexing Shusher and saying, hey man, if you try to go for this retrace reality scramble, it is not resolving. How about you and me make a deal and we keep you alive so that my...
Eminence NTG saying, no, they're mostly using the Sugandhi's strategy. What is Sugandhi's?
I hate you.
What? You don't know what the Sugandhi's strategy is?
No, I'm an expert on the strategy, actually, but I'm just, just wish we could move on.
Okay, so back to the game. You can see we're at Callahan's turn. We know Callahan drew the Simian Spirit Guide as the card for turn. And I wonder, it looks like we passed to Ifan actually, because Ifan untapped all their mana here. So now we're going to see Ifan probably go for a win condition here and just get stifled hard by Callahan. And the cool thing is that Callahan's last in priority order, so someone else at the table might jump their gun and use the interaction, so Callahan doesn't have to.
And Callahan can just sit back and say...
we had another polymorph in hand? This is the new polymorph effect that came from the... commander decks
from the 40k
commander decks.
Gosh.
Yeah.
What does this thing even do?
This is an instant speed polymorph. Why are we using it now? We can just bide our time and use it later. So Ifan's just trying to go for it here.
He just thinks that the table has nothing, but we know that Callahan has nothing.
No, we polymorphed the Rog. It looks like it's being cast successfully, unless it's in addition you have to sacrifice. So I need to know the name of this spell. Oh, nope, it's not resolving. Cal's showing them the Fierce Guardianship. Let's see how the table's reacting to this. Look at that. Oh, Charles is like, nice. I'm glad you had that. Milton's like, man, this guy's got everything.
I mean, after you see Callahan do nothing but draw go and get these treasures.
Like, what do you think he's got? Yeah, he's got to have something.
Gotta have something.
Gunnar here, first time chatter, sharing the Sugandhi's sounds. Wait, did we clip this? Oh my God, someone clipped.
God damn it. Do we have the list for this guy so we can find out what this card is?
I don't have the list pulled up for this deck, but someone will be able to tell us. Oh, Ifan putting a Time Twister on this deck. If I'm Callahan, I might let this Time Twister resolve so I can get some new cards in my hand.
Absolutely.
And the Delphi Voidwalker is out, so Milton's going to get tons of counter spells and card advantage. Callahan's like, why would I waste this Pact of Negation here? I'll just, look we're letting this resolve.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't go to
Doth
the
doesn't
Douthie
get-
because
yeah, exactly.
this is super cool,
Because
dude.
I would leverage the fact that maybe Callahan doesn't want this resolving because he doesn't want infinite Dothy ability, you know?
No, because we know we're getting the Tide Spout out of Ifan's hand, and he doesn't have the mana here because we have almost all the free mana
Yeah.
rocks in play. He doesn't have the mana here to put on another polymorph unless it's exactly polymorph.
This was really good for Ifan because it kind of steers the attention away from him a little bit because he is at 11 and there Najeela's on the board with 3 warriors.
Even if Eric has exactly polymorph, he still needs another spell to get the combo going. So it's very unlikely that Ifan can win here. This Time Twister is a huge shift in the game here. And we're going to
Absolutely.
watch these cards drawn because Callahan's been doing a great job at showing us what cards that they're drawing
Right.
off their library. So we're going to get to see here if we get something that gets Glenhorn
All right, we
going.
see Deflecting Swat, Mental Misstep, and Chrome
Simian
Box,
Spirit Guide, Mana
and
Crypt.
a Mana Crypt,
Oh, and a Wheel of Fortune.
All right, cool.
Hey, that's not bad though, because you cast your Chrome Box, you get to cast your Mana Crypt, and then you get to Wheel of Fortune right after
There's
that.
one more green card that we're missing here, and he shuffled them too fast for me to see. There's a green card that I want to know what it is. Oh, it's
Oh, we aren't able to see what that green card is here, but let's watch the game here. Let's see if Ifan has anything that they're going to put on the stack. Get absolutely wrecked by Scoots. Oh, man.
Thanks, Scoots.
Yeah, thank you so much,
for
Scoots.
the support. Classic.
Yeah, and Ifan in a very dangerous spot here at 11 life. You know,
Yeah.
this Najeela player is going to swing at you. Look at, and they tapped the Thrasios, basically conceding to
Is
the
the
fact.
Najeela player going to swing it? I have no reason why, without the threat, with the threat not in hand anymore.
You
the
don't
tie
know
spot's
that though,
gone.
and you have the means to take a player out of the table, and then that allows you. Oh,
not only
this
to
could
take
be a big turn here, Shauna.
to
from-
take the player out of the table, to take Eric out of the table, but to turn off Cal's main win con. That's kind of good.
Yeah, and you have access here. If you don't have anything in hand, you almost have enough damage. You have 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to double your war. You have enough damage on board.
Yeah.
You can manually activate Najeela to just get Eric off the board and make it
Yeah.
harder for Callahan to win the game here. The problem is that Ifan just casted a Time Twister, so there are enough cards in library where I believe that Callahan can still pull off the win con with the life totals that are remaining. All right, so we're going to see what Charles does here. I mean, this could be as simple as Grim Hireling, I win the game. Derevi,
Yeah.
I win the game.
Absolutely.
So we have to find out here. I mean, we're at the point now where we're getting into a critical mass of warriors that it's super simple for Charles to just run away with this win
And
here.
I'm really curious to see Milton's game plan here because we have seen very little from Milton so far.
Yeah,
other
just
than other
developing.
than some occasional interaction, we've seen very little.
Well, the Douthie pile is huge, and there's quite a bit of spells under the Douthie
Totally.
pile. So Milton is probably just biding his time, waiting for the opportunity to go off with something. You know, Kenrith decks like this, they could go off with something as simple as a Dockside Extortionist, something like right now, oh my god, do you know how easy it would be to win with Dockside Extortionist in a pod like this?
Yep.
The amount of artifacts and fast mana that are in play here and enchantments, that's basically what Milton is looking for, is I'm a Dockside away from winning the game.
Totally.
So I'm watching here to see Charles, to see if we can pick up on any tells that maybe he has the game here before he puts a card on the stack. And then you can see we have Lauren Vector, MTG Hot Dog in the hot dog suit. Yeah. Oh man, this would be the biggest slow roll. But you know, everybody does have a fresh 7. So do you want to try to jam into a fresh 7 if you have it? Or do you just want to simply exist and accrue a critical mass of warriors? That's
Here's
basically the
problem.
choice that
You're
Charles
not
has to
jamming
make.
into a fresh 7. You're jamming into a fresh 7 with a Vexing Shusher on the field. So anybody who attempts to win here would automatically get shown a counterspell by one of their opponents, and that counterspell will be interactable. It will be uncounterable because Callahan has plenty of mana to pay for as many counterspells as you want.
I'm not going to lie. I love this Vexing Shusher.
It's amazing.
Like, it is
because
such a good
guess
political
what?
tool.
If I am Charles and I say, by the way, Nature's Will, and I am Milton, I say, oh, I have that Force Will I'm showing you, and then Cal says, you know what? In response, I will go ahead and activate Vexing Shusher, paying 1, making the counterspell uncounterable. And then let's say Charles has another spell and says, in response to the Vexing Shusher trigger, I'm going to counter it anyway. You can activate it on top of it. As long as you have enough mana, you can continually put Vexing Shusher triggers on
if
the
your
stack.
opponents forget about your Vexing Shusher, you can let the stack get filled with all the interaction and then make sure that the one spell you don't want countered doesn't get countered.
Exactly.
It's such an important political piece, and the rest of the table have to ad nause being put on the stack by Charles. I may have been mistaken.
This is such a worrying thing because with the Dothy on the field, if this Adnos doesn't win you the game, it's going to win Milton the game.
I mean, I'm assuming that Charles has something else in play. You know, we did leave open 2 mana here, right? And we still have a carpet trigger that hasn't been resolved yet.
The balls on Charles.
So
Just
we can
throw
go-
this ad nauseum into a live action Trisher and 5, 6, 7 open mana. 8
Well, and
open
everyone
mana.
else, Del Yeehawk
just
saying
passing
add
around.
Missy on the stack.
Oh my god.
Oh, man. So, yeah. We sacrificed the Dalthy.
To cast the Fierce Guardianship.
No way. I would not have done that. I would not have done that in
I
that
would have
position.
waited for that ad nausea to come to me.
That's a play.
That is wonderful.
We're going to see what comes out of that. I wonder if Milton has some type of win con in hand and is maybe just trying to guarantee they get to their turn.
Has to be, because if Milton had spent this entire game doing next to nothing and saw a possible ad nause line, I think you might just go for it.
Oh, you know what? The other thing, though, is that we can reanimate our Dalthy with the Kenrith and just basically keep that thing in play. If we got the Goat Manny in the booth with us, helping us out with some things that we miss, just like the stream has been. So thank you, guys. The Adnaz got countered, but Charles still hasn't moved to combat. Interested to see what we're doing here.
This combat is, it's got a time clock on it for sure. It's got a very short clock on it, especially with Eric constantly being low on creatures, as a polymorph deck is always.
Well, so you have 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're going to make
And we're
4
going to
more
combat.
warriors?
We're just getting the dice out. Yep. No, not enough tokens for this. Just getting the dice out.
So we have 10 damage on board here. But we...
Najeela's not attacking. Why is Najeela not attacking?
I don't know why Najeela's
I
not
don't
attacking.
understand.
I don't know why you wouldn't attempt to take E-Fund out the game. But here you can see we're using the Carpet of Flower
Oh,
mana.
that's why.
No way. Are we going to...
Incredible.
Was the Adnaz the bait?
The ad nause was a bait.
No, but if it's
we don't have-
consultation, Callahan has the mental misstep in hand.
I don't see mana. I don't see
No,
mana. for
Carpet of
this.
Flowers, he ignored the
Flowers.
carpet trigger and he activated it for 2 black. That's why we used the 2 blue here to cast the Thoracle.
Wonderful.
So here we go. Is it Tainted Pact? If it's consultation, it's Tainted
Tainted
Pact. Okay, let's see what the table's doing now. Cal looking at his hand going,
Nuts.
Crap,
I
I
was
don't
really
have
hoping
anything.
that was a consult.
oh, what did Milton put on the stack? A Summoner's Pact? No,
Crop rotation.
a Crop Rotation.
Sacrificing a Taiga to get something. To get a Cephalid Coliseum?
No way. In
No.
Kenrith?
No, everybody shuffled their graveyards back in. There's no way it's Cephalid. That Cephalid wouldn't be live right now. So what is it? Oh, it's
Gaia's
Gaia's
Cradle?
Of course it's Gaia's Cradle. I hate myself.
Oh, dude. You know what sucks? With this, no, never mind. Because unless somebody removes the Thoracle, I was going to say, maybe Callahan would really want that Noxious Revival to be in their hand right now. But, with the Devotion being 2 blue right now, even if you put a card on top of their library,
It's still not enough.
it's still not enough. So what's Milton's plan here? Getting the Gaia's Cradle into play.
Just looking for more mana. It's more mana than the Taiga. Because the Taiga was tapped.
What a
Right?
sick play by Charles. Hey, here's a Naz. You sack your Dalthy to counter that? Cool.
Yeah, speaking of the sick play, what was that freaking wheel? Or what was that time twister for Charles? Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. When you have the when you have the Tidespot Tyrant in hand, I don't know why you would cast the.
And we see Charles at 34 here, so Charles only took 4, or only took 1 extra card off of the Sylvan Library. Definitely didn't take 8.
No, we did not take 8 and feel great.
Why would you not take 8?
In this with that hand, why would you not just
Why
take
would you not?
everything
You're
you
at
see?
34.
Unless
You're
I guess
the
it's
Najeela player.
unless I guess it's a land or something up the top.
Maybe.
Oh, so look at the Tainted Pact is resolving,
Oh my
exiling our whole library.
This is surreal. Calling the crop rotation, finding a cradle.
E-Fund. Oh, showing a Cyclonic Rift on the Thoracle.
On the Thoracle.
And a no, they're revealing hands. They don't have it.
Yes. Because what would the Cyclonic Rift do? Nothing.
Because
Yep.
if you bounce a Thoracle, if
We're
Cal
scooping it up.
had the Noxious Revival, it would put a card on top of the library, and it would mean that he couldn't win the game because he wouldn't have enough
Because
blue
you would-
devotion.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the game. Charles wins on Najeela. Now, to clarify for everybody that's watching this, remember that these players elected to draw this match. So this was just a for fun match, basically, to show you what these pods are going to be like when you get to top 16 and what these players would have been like if they played in a match. Charles winning on Najeela there. Amazing showing of a deck. That Time Twister just drawing him the nuts, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely wild here. And let's look at how the players
And unfortunately, drawing Charles the nuts and drawing Callahan, nothing to
I
work
know,
with.
nothing again.
Yeah.
And nothing to win the game even. So,
Yeah.
yeah, such a tough beat for everyone there. And great play by Charles leading with the Adnaz and then just putting the Thoracle table. I mean, it's easy to win when you just have it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if yeah, nobody had anything for the Adnaz, so Milton had to crack the Delphi there.
Yeah.
Wild. Absolutely wild. So
Well,
cool
actually,
to see.
that Adnaz. Oof.
You can't let that resolve.
Yeah.
You can't let that resolve because then Charles has protection for everything that he's going to put on the stack.
Absolutely.
Isn't that the text on Sylvan Library? Pay 8 life, draw 3? That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, that was my perception.
Natural Crunch, can we get a lifting side event at Pun City 3? Yeah, I will lift the spirits of every player that's at Pun City 2. So that's the lifting side event that will there.
Ridiculous.
Oh, man. What a good game. What a good game. Great play all around by everyone at that table, and a quick one at that. We normally don't have games that quick.
Yeah.
Our streams have been very, very long for these feature matches, but just a taste of what the best players in the event look like right now.
Yeah.
All those players are in the top 5. They all have 15 or 16 points. Most of them are going to make it to the top 16.
Yes, Dark
for
Ritualist, that was
tomorrow's
an ID. So they were sitting at 15 or 16 points. Now they're sitting at 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Which is basically a guaranteed top 16 unless you lose on breakers.
Yeah, 3 wins and a draw is usually enough to guarantee you to get top 16.
Almost always.
And then 3 wins and 2 draws is you're pretty much guaranteed. There's no way you don't make it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, this game was an ID because these players had such good standings that they could basically ensure that they're going to make it into the next round tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was just a game to display and show what it's going to be like when we get to those finals pods.